outside of that, something that I did watch, and I did a whole like thread on Twitter, and like if you follow me there, you'll know I watched it, but it is Netflix's live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I want to take some time out of this episode to compile my thoughts and give a review, because here's what I'll say to kind of like hook you in. I don't think it's as bad as people are saying it is, but it's still not great. So, brief rundown. I was not allowed to watch Nickelodeon as a kid.
Right.
So I didn't get to watch the original Avatar until 2019. I had some friends in high school who had the DVDs, and they let me borrow the DVDs, and I watched all the way through it. Amazing show. One of the only shows that I will ever give a 10 out of 10. Up there with like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And guys, I'm working on getting Jackson to sit down and watch Avatar so we can do an episode, because I think he would really like it. It's just I have to convince him to do it. So I'm like halfway there.
I don't know.
And I'm working on it.
I just can't stand James Cameron.
Different Avatar.
Oh, my bad.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know, the 10 out of 10 Nickelodeon show. Dare I say, the best thing to come out of Nickelodeon. Anyway, I watched that, loved it. I haven't finished Korra. I've heard mixed things about it. I'll finish it one day and form my own opinions. I also bought a couple of the comics last year. So, like, I love Avatar. I think it is a truly incredible show. Leading up to the Netflix adaptation coming out, I had seen all of the articles of like, oh, they're taking this out, or they're changing this, and they're making Sokka less sexist, and Aang's going to be more mature, like changing all of these different things. And in my head, I was like, I don't like that. Like, I'm not going to watch it because I don't like these changes. But then I decided, you know what? All Twitter has been saying is that this is going to be awful and it's going to be bad, and you just shouldn't watch it. Like, you should watch the original. And that usually is the consensus when it comes to these live action remakes across the board, is they're never as good as the original. And I think that definitely still stands here. But I watched it and it wasn't awful. Like, it wasn't awful in the sense of, let me turn this off, it's so bad, I'd never want to watch anything again. Like, there were definitely parts that I didn't like, and I'll get to that in a second. But there were also parts that I kind of enjoyed, and I think it did in a much more interesting way than the original. And like, I think the two can coexist so long as you acknowledge that the animated original is better than the live action. Like, the live action was never going to top that. So now, here's what I'll say. I have a full review for every episode on Serialized. And like, I started out with these really long paragraphs, and then as time went on, the show kind of got worse. Like, the longer it went on, the worse it got, because your threshold for what was bad, like, was getting wider. I took full notes on my phone.
Dang.
And like, just so that I could be like, oh, hey, here's the thing. So I'll start out with general things that I liked. I'll start out with the pros. I'll be honest. I think it is shot and directed very well. And it is shot in a way that really lends itself to the bending and how that power system works. And the fight choreography for most of the fights was really good. It channeled that martial arts type style that they were really going for in the original show, and I think that worked out for them. And yeah, that's about the end of my pros.
Yeah.
It looks really good. And it's kind of like a sequel trilogy type thing where I'm like, yeah, it looks really good. Everything else kind of sucks though.
Budget was high.
Budget was high. I don't know why. So here's the thing is, when I heard the original creators left over creative differences, I didn't understand what that meant. And now that I've watched it, I absolutely understand what that meant. Because the pacing is whack. Like, they got through the entire first season in 8 episodes.
Dang.
They took 22 episodes, or like 25, I think, and condensed it down to 8-hour-long episodes. And you definitely feel that in the pacing, especially in the sense of, and like mild spoilers for both shows, kind of, because there's a lot of points that happen across the two, but like Sokka and Suki are kind of a thing in episode 2, which didn't happen till like episode 5, but like that's just how far off the pacing is. And it just, you feel like they're rushing through these major plot points so that they can get to the next one, because they have to keep moving, because Avatar as a show is really like, yeah, let's keep moving. Like, where like Aang is moving through this journey, and now they're like, all right, here's this cool thing, here's this cool thing, here's this cool thing. Like, it's a very short attention span. We have to get all of these things done, but then there's also like, we have to get X, Y, and Z done so that we can justify like reaching this point by the end of the season. So I don't know, that they also didn't do the iconic opening of like water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the 4 nations lived together in harmony, but then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Like, dog, you had one job. Start every episode with that, and they didn't. They just went into it. And the problem is, this show really tried to present itself as the more mature way to watch Avatar. When that, like, what made the original so good is that it was a mature kids show that didn't talk down to kids, that was like tackled all of these intense themes, especially with Aang as a character, and presented them in a very entertaining and easily digestible way. The original show was always mature. Just because you show firebenders torching people and turning them to ash does not mean that your show is now miraculously more mature. It's just you decided to put a little more gore in there. Like, yeah. And even the director said, we're trying to go for like a more Game of Thrones-esque approach. And I'm like, you missed the whole point. What? Nobody who likes Avatar was like over the moon about Game of Thrones. Like, maybe they were, I don't know. But like, that just feels like such a skewing of the audience there. Because most people who grew up with Avatar are our age, because it was a kids show that came out when we were kids. Like, it came out in 2006. So overall, live action Avatar, should you watch it? I'm gonna leave that up to you, because yes, I had my fair share of problems with it. I don't think it was well cast. I really don't. Outside of the main 3 of Aang, Katara, and Sokka, I don't really think anyone else was really well cast. Actually, I take that back. Zuko and Iroh are great, and Danny Pudi is in it as the inventor guy.
What?
So those aside, I don't think anyone else was cast very well. And I don't mean that against... Okay, hold on. I gotta throw Suki in there too. Sorry. It's like just... It's coming. Okay, so aside from a handful of people, I don't think the casting was very good. I don't think Azula was cast very well. I don't think Azula was cast very well. I don't think Mai was cast very well. I don't think Ty Lee was cast very well. Put the timer away. You're distracting me.
You said 5 to 7 minutes. It's gonna take longer. 5 to 7 minutes, and we just broke 9 minutes of Avatar talk. All right.
I don't think it was cast very well. And I don't like the fact that they changed things and why they changed things. Like, they changed the Agni Kai, which makes no sense because it's supposed to be a fight to the death, but then nobody dies. Like, you can't have a more mature show and then take out the one mature aspect of this, like, fight to the death. Yeah, there's things I don't like about it. And I'll wrap up all that to say, if you like the original, this isn't going to ruin your enjoyment of the original. Let's be totally honest. But if you like the original and if you want to know, then sure, watch it. But like, it's never going to top the original. Never going to be that. And as much as I don't want to be that guy, I really hope it doesn't get a season 2. Like, I hope they just call it quits here. But then I'm also torn because I want to see how would they bring in someone like Toph, who's blind? Like, how do you bring in a character like that? How do you continue the Sokka and Suki relationship? Like, how do you wrap all that in? So, like, there's part of me that wants them to bring it in, but then there's another part of me that's like, just be done. Like, just let it go. Don't do anything else. And if you are going to do something else, do your own thing. Make a different story. Like, pick a different avatar. Like, there's dozens of avatars for you to choose from, and you choose the one that has, like, a really good story. Like, if this was an original series about Kyoshi or, what's his name? Roku, like, nobody would be upset because you'd be doing something original instead of trying to adapt a fantastic show that didn't need to be touched. So, that's my piece about the live-action Avatar. I'm gonna get Jackson to watch the original, and we'll do an episode on it. So,
there you go.
Booyah.
11 minutes and 5 seconds.
Hey, I said roughly 7 to 10.
You said roughly 7. All right. Well...